Hello everyone, welcome back to another SwansCast podcast, the first one of 2024. So we want to wish you all in person a happy new year. So guys, want to join me in that message?
Yeah, happy new year, guys.
Yeah, good start to the year as well. Happy new year.
Yeah, I've got Lee and Ben joining me for the first episode this year. So welcome back, guys. And Ben, welcome back after your little break. I know you were very busy over December especially, and I hope everything went well with your endeavours.
Yeah, everything's good. Glad to be back.
Yeah, and I know a time of the year where maybe you've got to get your head down a bit in it. So appreciate you coming back, and I hope you. I'm sure you smashed it anyway. But yeah, let's get into it. Obviously, we got a lot to discuss. We didn't do a podcast last week. Obviously, it was Christmas and it's busy. You know, we want to spend time with our families, I'm sure, like everyone else does. So I hope you all did enjoy the festive period. It wasn't the worst festive period for Swans. It kind of actually was a bit of up and down. We'll talk a little bit about some of that. And Lee had a very good experience, I'm sure, on Boxing Day. Yeah, Lee, is that fair to say?
That's up there with some of the away days I've been on it as well.
You've talked before about QPR away on Boxing Day. I feel like maybe you've got a new one.
Yeah, I didn't think that would ever get topped when QPR smashed us 4-0 on Boxing Day, and it was about -10. But that one came close, I think.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about all that. So like I said, Southampton away started the festive period a bit worryingly, but it came back around. Coventry away and West Brom at home, which obviously was yesterday as of recording, because we're recording on the 2nd. So talk all about that and some of the points within those games. Obviously, we're going to talk about Sheehan and his reign and the managerial hunt, which is still ongoing and coming up to a month long now, which is worryingly. I remember when we were talking about it after the sacking, saying how there was time in hand to get the right man in and get a January transfer window under his belt that supports his play style, which we're now 2 days into with no idea who it's going to be. So, but yeah, we'll discuss that. And we've also got this weekend's FA Cup game, Swansea against Morecambe, which I don't know if either of you knew before this evening, but it's actually the first competitive fixture between the clubs. So I got a little game for you to play that everyone listening can play along with at the same time. I'm not going to give the match away, but I'll tell you what it's going to be. So the game will be to name a lineup about one past FA Cup match. That's what I'm going to give you now, because I don't want you both thinking ahead of the game of the players that you might need to be thinking about here or getting on the internet, because it's quite a tricky one, I think, actually. I think you will remember the game. I think everyone listening will remember the game. But when you actually think and sit down and think actually who was there, I think you might struggle a little bit, especially on the bench. So, yeah, you get your head, get your cogs turning for that one. Be quite fun. So let's get stuck in then. Lee, I think you should be up first, because Southampton 5, Swansea 0. Our festive treat this year from the Swans, delivered on the south coast by Russell Martin. If you didn't stuff your own turkey this year, well, we had a good old stuffing from an ex-manager, didn't we? So I don't know if you want to talk about your trip, because it started off quite badly, didn't it?
Yeah, so no trains running on Boxing Day was there, so we couldn't get the train on Southampton, so we got the official coach, and then on the morning when we got there, coaches were full, and ended up going in some private car with the security people, which was quite fun. So that was a.
When you say security people, do you mean like the escort of the coaches?
Yeah. So I didn't realize that there was like a private. I haven't travelled on the coaches for ages. Tend to drive these days, but I didn't realize there was like a group of security that kind of run with the buses, and you got your stewards on the buses, haven't you? Where they're like, they're on there anyway. But then this was like a separate group of people who like follow the buses, and then some of them had to go on the buses on the way back. I think it was a bit of trouble, but yeah. So they just had their own car, and luckily they had 3 spaces for me and 2 of my mates. And how
did that conversation go? Oh, by the way, we don't have a seat for you on the bus, but you can go in that car.
Well, we kind of messed up because we haven't been for so long. I don't know if it's been like this for the last couple of seasons, but they kind of just put empty buses in. You don't get assigned a bus anymore. I mean, the only time I've gone on the bus is when, because you've got to with the Cardiff games, but they give you a bus then. But on that one, they don't give you a bus. It's just all the empty buses lined up, and you kind of everybody just jumps on. So we queued up for one bus, and then that one was full, and then we go back of the queue for the next one. That one was full, back of the queue, and then so we were at the back of the queue then for like the last bus. got on it, and there's no seats left. So
I don't understand though. So they didn't put enough on anyway. So like, what would have happened if they couldn't have fit you in the car?
I don't know.
Some chances have just walked on, haven't they? Probably.
Yeah. It definitely happens. It's happened in other games. I mean, so people get on the bus, don't they, without tickets. But well, we were just prepared to drive them. We thought, if they can't fit us in, we'll just drive, get our money back with the bus and drive up. But we wanted to have a few drinks because it was Boxing Day. But it wasn't too bad really, because on the way back, then some of the security people had to go on the buses for the way back, and then so we just had like this executive car on the way back, just 3 of us in the back seat. So it was nice. Needed it after the result, didn't we?
Do you want to talk about the result?
No, not really. I think we knew it was coming, but it's just annoying because I think like everybody will. I heard comments in the concourse at half time that Southampton looked like Man City, and I don't think that was the case. I think we shot ourselves in the foot massively because we had a couple of early good chances, didn't we? I remember a couple of like really early on. I think Yates and Lowe had 2 decent opportunities, and then they kind of scored from nothing, and then straight after half time we had that absolute shocker when Wood passes it back to Rushworth and he misses it, and then you're 2-0 down, and then I think we just fell apart then, and the people they got to come off the bench. I mean, I didn't even realise Ryan Fraser was there, and he came off the bench and scored 2. So we just fell apart a bit after that second goal. So I think it was just one of them. I think Southampton are so hot at the moment. It was just they could have done that to anyone.
Yeah.
And if you look
at our form, so I think the last podcast we did might have been after Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Where we lost 2-1, and that was perhaps unfair, and Rushworth dropped a clanger. And then we had a good win actually against Preston, which we kind of made hard for ourselves because I think we worked hard to get a lead in that one and then gave it up straight away, and then got a goal at the end, didn't we, basically? And then we get smashed by Southampton. And then afterwards, again, the form's been okay. So do we just sort of... The circumstances around this trip, with the whole thing with Russell Martin and the history, and he started talking in the media again, didn't he, about the club and how he loves the club and he loves the place, and saying everything everyone wants to hear that loves him anyway. And I like the guy, but I think to an extent you've got to be a little bit clever that he's saying stuff that pleases you. Maybe doing something, and then they go and win 5-0. I feel like he kind of knows what he's doing a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think he knew what he was saying before the game. Kind of buttered everybody up, didn't he? And then, and then we kind of just.
And it's like I told you so. You should have given me money in January. Look, this is what we could have done. That's kind of what he was trying to say, isn't it?
He's not wrong, I suppose, is he?
He's not wrong, right? You're right in that comment, but also right, and this is where it irritates me because you're right. He isn't wrong. He could have had money in January. We could have got a striker in, and we could have got that 3 points we needed to finish the playoffs. Yeah, but he also didn't need to down tools for 2 months because he didn't get that, and that's on him. No matter what backing he did or didn't have, that's on him. So he should have had the backing in January, and he's fine to talk about that and to say, if I had this more support, we would have, what could have been is what he said, isn't it? What could have been a Swansea? That's the words he used. And I do agree with that, but it's still not an excuse for the way that he down tools, which he admitted before the run of 7 wins in 9 at the end of the season. He admitted that he kind of lost his way a bit. He admitted that, So it's no excuse for that. That's on him as well. So he does need to take that. And people shouldn't forget that, I think, is important. But yeah, my point was, do we write this game off, Ben, do you think, as a one-off? Circumstances around the ex-manager, the first return, it was always going to be tricky. Maybe it was written in the stars that we were going to kind of lose this one.
I mean, the worry is, I think the reason we lost wasn't so much because, he's our ex-manager. That style of play that the other team had where, dominate the ball, whatever, is that sort of a weakness with our current shape, our current system. I mean, we got Leicester away in a few weeks. I realise Leicester away is a throwaway game for most people. But you still want to go into these games and give a decent show. In Leeds, we weren't really in the game much either. So I think it's just sort of an acceptance we need to have against the bigger teams at the minute. We're not cut out to compete with them, let alone get close to getting a result, unfortunately.
Yeah,
maybe, but I would also throw in there, not that their form is very good, but Blackburn are playing a kind of an expressive passing football brand at the moment. Maybe they're in the early stages of it, and I think they're struggling at the moment, so it's not the best example. We've got a win there. Sunderland, another one that play attacking football, obviously drew at home to them. And the other one is Hull, as well, which we got a 2-2 draw against Hull. Went 2-0 up. Probably should have won that game other than our collapse, but they are also a team that currently sitting in the playoffs, so they were until their result yesterday. If they've moved
near
out.
enough.
Yeah. Just maybe they're not on the same level as Southampton, Leeds, Leicester, but I think they are above and beyond at the moment in the
I
league,
think
really.
I think you're right though. When you're talking about like Leicester and Southampton in that bracket, no matter who is manager, the squads they've got are absolutely ridiculous for this level. They used to be such a tight league every year. There's always one team that kind of sneaks in there like every year, but then you've got like Ipswich this year who kind of sneaked into that pack. But I think that's kind of drifting off a little bit. I think Southampton are going to catch them with the way they're going. The teams, I can't believe the squad. I forgot about half the players that Leicester had when they were emptying their bench when they came down here a couple of weeks ago. And then the same with Southampton. They were just bringing players off the bench. I couldn't believe it. So we are, you can look
Shea
at our squad at
Adams.
the moment. Yeah, it was Shea Adams, Ryan Fraser coming off. I just couldn't believe I didn't even know he was there. So you lose track of all these players. But then I just think, like Ben said, we're not cut out to compete against these teams. And I think if you've got a team with that level of quality playing that style of football, I think anybody in the championship is going to struggle to compete with them. And I'll praise Russell Martin. He does play good football, but I think the squad that he's got there, anybody's going to struggle.
It's the best
From what
11 for me, personally.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, 100%.
Squad maybe not. Starting 11, they have the best 11.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? I think if he takes a bit of time to get his style into a club, took us maybe a bit longer because the quality of the players was less than what he's got at Southampton. So maybe he's done it quicker. Maybe he's also learned from his experience at us to implement that quicker and a bit better. He's had a bit more backing to do that. And he also didn't come in like a week before the first match of the season, I guess. Maybe makes a difference. And by all accounts, I think what people are seeing from Southampton at the moment is a bit of the slight differences from what we were doing last season. But what I was going to say is basically if they were showing the form they're showing now, so I guess the style is embedded, they're quite confident in it, they're doing well. And I think if you take what they are now and you go back to the start of the season, they probably would be challenging Leicester for the title.
I think they still can. I think they just keep winning. I know they had a draw yesterday, but they keep picking up points.
Well, they're still 13 points off the top.
I think they'll get top two. I think just the way
I think
the squad, like the squad depth they've got too much. Like I think their front, they've got Armstrong, Aribo, Shea Adams. I'm probably missing someone, but those are their three strikers. I mean, you can play any one of them on any day and they score.
Yeah, so Ipswich are only 3 points ahead of them now. They've got the same goal difference. I fully expect that in a week or two, that's going to switch around. I think Ipswich are hitting the worst form they've had all season. They've only won. Well, they haven't won in the last 5, 4 draws and defeat. So yeah, they definitely get chased down. And Leeds have kind of gone a little bit as well lately, which
they're a bit inconsistent Leeds, aren't they? But I think they'll be in and around there, won't they? I think by the end of the season. But going back to like what you said about Russell Martin, I think like our criticism of him was that he was trying to play a style of football that we didn't really have the quality for. And I think it always will be what could have been, because I think if we had a bit more back and then, we would have been on that trajectory, I think, with the football that he was playing. But now that he's got the squad to play that football, it's, you see what it can do.
Yeah. No, you are right. And I think you are right as well, Ben. It's perhaps we have seen full front how tricky it was to play against that style of play. The teams used to say to us all the time last season, like the manager after the game, Swansea's the hardest game, it's really hard to play, we had to focus so much for all the time. But we maybe sometimes lacked the cutting edge that he now has at his disposal. So when people were making those comments last year and we were sitting as fans like, but we didn't win the game. We're just passing it. The difference now is he's got the players to make sure that it's not just passing it.
Yep.
But there we go. We move on. Nothing really to celebrate from that trip away. I think Nathan Wood didn't have his best game, which maybe isn't a surprise.
It's a bit odd that Wood started that game and now he hasn't.
I thought so as well.
Game. That was really odd. I thought
he did start against Coventry, didn't he?
No, I don't think he did he?
I'll check now.
It was Humphreys and Cabango, wasn't it, that started against
Coventry? All
Coventry.
3 of them started, didn't they? I'll confirm. Carry on your point.
No, I said, oh, well, if it is true, I just thought it was odd because I thought I sort
You're
of
right.
half,
He didn't start against Coventry. I
and he
lied.
didn't start against West Brom yesterday either. So I thought, like a bit of a throwaway comment. I thought, I bet he starts against Southampton. You know,
We didn't sell him to you, but he's still here. Look.
yeah, but magically that's the only game he started since he's come back. No, I think he came on against Preston, didn't he, late on that Friday night game. I think he came on late for like 2 minutes, and then he started against Southampton. And I thought, he's he's back now, and he hasn't started since. I don't think he's come on since either. So that was a bit weird. Well, there's probably nothing in it, but considering the Southampton were linked with him, I thought.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, because Darlin was dropped and Bashir Humphreys played right back against Southampton.
Oh my god, and he was absolutely horrendous as well. Sorry, he's not right back, is he? And I know like nobody played well in that game, but he got absolutely ruined on that right hand side.
Yeah, well,
I know it's a bit harsh because he's well out of a position, but it was like definitely a weakness.
Yeah, and I guess they probably exploit that as well.
Yeah.
But okay, so it's important after that to bounce back, and we did against Coventry. I don't necessarily think the performance was anything to sing about, but it doesn't matter. They worked hard and they got a point out of it, and that's all that matters. I don't think Coventry were necessarily amazing either, mind. But it was one of them games when you're watching it and you're like, it's just not really that much to shout about, is there? I don't know what you made about it if you two saw any of it. Ben, did you see any of the Coventry match?
No, I wasn't able to catch any of it, unfortunately.
You didn't miss much, I wouldn't worry about it.
The general sort of opinion on it just seemed, like you said, a bit of a lackluster affair where we didn't really have any tactics in play. It was sort of just the players sort of trying to figure out what to do on the spot sort of thing.
Yeah, what happened in this one for the first goal was potentially offside, wasn't it?
It looked
Did we get clarification of that in the end?
I don't know.
So
I
still
for
images that you locked offside, but obviously still
Yeah.
images don't always give you the clarification.
No.
Yeah.
I tell you what was nice to see though, and maybe we can talk about him a little bit more. Liam Walsh got his first league goal for the club. I think it was his first league goal, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Which was nice to see because I think he's been really good in the last few matches actually, and yeah, I think when he's fully fit, he's got to start, but unfortunately his body thinks otherwise.
Just went off injured, didn't he?
Yeah, he's gone off injured again, and I haven't heard nothing about what that is, which I don't know whether that's good or bad news really, because usually when it's bad one you kind of know, don't you, straight away. It looked like muscle, so
Yeah,
whether he was
he wasn't limping, was he?
no, he just went down and then went off.
Yeah. He looked a bit. I don't know if I haven't seen like the highlights.
Look at
I
it.
was at the game and he looked like that. He was like holding his hands, had his head in his hands. I should say. Couldn't get my words out then.
It's because he knows he's coming into form, and every time he just breaks.
It's where he plays like a run of games all the time because I think he played against Southampton and then Coventry, and then he started again. And I think like we know the Christmas period is tight, and especially someone who's got that injury record maybe just needs to be managed a little bit better. But when he's in form, you've got to start him. And then, like you said, his body just, I don't know. It's just going to be one of them players just constantly injured.
I was surprised to see him starting against West Brom after he started against Coventry for that exact reason. And yeah, well, I mean, what can you say? He's let's just hope it was. All I'm trying to think is, okay, he's had a lot of injuries. He kind of knows what it feels like when a muscle is going, maybe, and he felt something, and he's like, I'm just going to stop so it doesn't become bad. So maybe they rest him now for Cup game, and hopefully it's okay for Birmingham next week.
It's frustrating because there's a player in there. I think I kind of criticised him for his injury record. I thought like, it's a bit of a, you're carrying a player really because you can't kind of rely on him. But then it's such a shame because when he does pick up form, he always has that window. He did last season when he played a couple of games, and one of them was Cardiff away, and he was amazing last season in that game. And then like now he's really started to pick up form. He was great against Coventry, I thought, got his goal, and then he picks up an injury, and it's just so frustrating.
I think he's our fastest midfielder in the sense of like linking up and 1-2s and quick thinking, to be honest, and it's something that we don't have with the other guys on the pitch.
Yeah.
He keeps the ball really close to his feet when he runs a bit as well. Like off the ball in a straight sprint, he's not particularly quick, but because he keeps the ball so close to his feet, he looks quick when he runs with the ball. You struggle to dispossess him.
Yeah. And yeah, I would love for more than anything for him to find fitness for the rest of the season, because that's the only way he's going to get any sort of future here and new contract. If this is another knock now and he's up for a couple of months, I just think that's it, isn't it? Really?
Is he out of contract at the end of this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
I mean, him and Joe Allen are, in my opinion, I think it would be a bit silly if you offered either of them new deals, particularly because I think both of them, they're not on low salaries either.
No, you're correct, but this is what I said the other day about Liam Walsh. Like, if he stays fit until the end of the season from this point now, and is available as an option, I feel like we can consider it. But if he doesn't, then writing's got to be on the wall. But like, it was a last chance saloon to show. Can you go the rest of the season now without an injury? Can we say you put it behind you? But see what comes from this one. But maybe it's not the case.
I mean, at most you'd give him a year with an option of an extra one.
Yeah, and play it safe. Play it safe. But like, for him, you'd like to think like that's better option than trying to sell yourself to another club and ask for a certain amount of money and playing time, re-establish yourself when you know you've got that record. Like, he went to Hull on loan from us and he couldn't get a game, could he? So
no. I mean, I suppose the thing is, if we offer him a year and another championship club's silly enough to offer him 3, you're going to go for a 3-year deal, and you, regardless of.
Yeah. I guess they wouldn't be able to offer him that until summer, though, would they? We'd have to refuse and go for that.
It seems unlikely somebody would offer that, but then we did, didn't we, from Bristol City? Which, looking back with his injury record, he was a hot prospect coming out of Coventry. As we said, I don't think anyone's ever doubted his ability, but maybe we didn't consider the injury history anywhere near enough.
You can see when he plays why we've gone there. It's just maybe we're in a position where we have to take those risks, and when one of them comes off, it's really valuable for us. But if we do lose Allen and Walsh in the summer, how confident are we of getting some players in that position?
I mean, I see that as a good opportunity, to be honest, because how many games a year do they play combined? About 30.
Yeah. But what I mean is, like, Patino also goes back from loan, so you're left with Fulton and Grimes. That's a big recruitment drive in one position, isn't it?
I think there's a lot of midfielders. I'm not going to try and name them, but I think there probably are a lot of midfielders of that mould out there at clubs that don't suit them.
Yeah.
There aren't many clubs who traditionally play the way we play. I don't think that's a really difficult profile to pick up in the EFL League One. I think there's probably a few.
No, I think you're probably right. It's whether we spend, isn't it, is the question, only.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. But like Ben said, they're both on high wages as well, so that'll free up some funds, I guess, for those two going. And like you said, they don't play. I mean, between them, how many games they played this season? You could probably, count it on one hand, maybe how many games they played. But if we had just another accomplished like championship midfielder that can play, week in, week out, just to have another option or another two. I think we missed the trick with someone like Corey Smith. I think he was good as an. I know he wanted to play.
Russell Martin's fault that was, wasn't it?
No, but someone in that mould where he's just such a good versatile player. You can throw him in anywhere. You can throw him in at any time, and he'll just do a job.
Just like Jack Cork.
Jack Cork's another
same thing happened to him, didn't it? We signed Roger Mesa for Paul Clement, who was never going to use him, and shipped Jack Cork off.
But like Ben said, I think there's plenty of players out there in that mould around the leagues that can come in.
Well, I'd also add a name that we've probably forgotten about. How long was Azim Abdullahi out injured for now?
Is he not due back soon? Or is he?
Him and Wood were both meant to be out for the same amount of time. So if Wood's
and Allen, same. They were all 3 months, weren't they?
We haven't really seen him in his proper position yet. So he was filling in at right wing back when we were playing with wing backs, and we hadn't signed anyone yet. But traditionally, for the youth teams now, he was like a cam, a centre mid, wasn't he?
Yeah. It would be interesting to see him at this level in centre mid, because I feel like he only got the opportunity to step up because of the issues at wing back, and he did a good job straight away. That he cemented his place in first team plans. It'd be interesting to see if he can work his way into midfield. He doesn't. Do you know if you didn't know him or if you were involved in the club, you just turned up to a match and watched, and saw him at left wing back or whatever he was, right wing back. You wouldn't have known he was a midfielder out of position, especially from the body type and the mould of player he is and his pace. You generally think winger, wing back, probably suit him as well.
mean, he looked raw. We would have just said, okay, that's lack of experience. You wouldn't have
Yeah.
thought, oh, it's like it's nothing like Joel Attenborough, right wing back, was it? His
No, but he
physical
looked raw
acumen dictated the role.
with excitement as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're missing some of that as well.
To be honest, I forgot he was really good at the beginning of the season. He was a bit of a good news story, wasn't he? That he sort of broke into the scene, and I think he played really well. He was unlucky when he got injured.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking
we've
of
been
good,
unlucky with injuries, haven't we? Across
We
the
have.
board.
Speaking of good news stories, 17-year-old making his debut for Swansea, Sam Parker in the Coventry game as well. Discuss.
I couldn't watch it, but all I saw was that one highlight of him brilliant ball in for Balassi, and but we all saw the finish
Where
afterwards.
Balassi should have scored.
Yeah, that's the one.
I thought he played really well. I think he played really well, and I think that he was allowed to play well because that's what we desperately need. We just needed somebody like that on the wing that
Go and
can
enjoy
drive in
yourself.
the defence, deliver a ball in. That ball he delivered into Balassi was absolutely inch perfect, and we've been crying out for that, just a bit of play like that all season. And why Balassi was playing through the middle on his own, I never know in that game, which was really odd. But that ball was perfect, and he just looked exciting every time he got the ball. And when sometimes we're kind of camped back, from a corner, or they've got a set piece, or they've got a bit of possession, he really offered an outlet, which we haven't had for ages. Like someone was playing that ball in that channel down the right wing, and he was getting us out to the pitch, and it was so different. We've been crying out for it.
Yeah, Sheehan spoke about him and why you included him and gave him his debut, saying that obviously he works a lot and has done as assistant manager with a lot of the players and some of the younger ones as well, and he knows a lot about them that maybe, I guess, the normal manager wouldn't get into so much detail with some of these players. And he just said in regards to losing Josh Key, who got injured in a few games prior, that Sam Parker was the closest they had in Josh Key's sort of mould, and that Josh Key brings something unique to the team that he felt the team missed, and that's why he gave Sam Parker his debut, essentially. So,
yeah,
I think it was there, worked.
Yeah,
it did work. I think he was unlucky not to have some game time against West Brom. Then I think you hit.
I think it's
Walsh,
managing.
kind of the standouts. It is managing.
The youth,
I think a
isn't
lot
it?
of people were sort of
Clever.
up in arms that he didn't start again. I think you don't want to put with the way the season's going at the moment. When he played well against Coventry, it was almost kind of like, oh my god, we're going to pin the season on this 17-year-old. Everyone was like, oh my god, he's going to start.
Yeah.
And I know you're saying you have got to manage it, but I'd like to see him get another couple of minutes off the bench for that. But maybe he'll surely get a start in the FA Cup game next week.
Oh yeah,
I would imagine he will. Look, with managing youth players, there's a couple of examples, isn't there? You had Cam Congreve breaking onto the scene last year, and then Russell Martin chucked him in out of position at right wing back, and he's barely been seen ever since. It could be a cauldron of fire, if you get it wrong in terms of you introduce them to this level. And then you look at Ollie Cooper, who looked like he was flying and have fallen off a cliff. So it's difficult, isn't it? How do you get it right to make sure they play with the confidence that they need, and also not feel the pressure and let that affect their game? Because I don't really understand what's happening with Ollie Cooper, but it's just massive massive shame to see it.
I think Russell Martin's system probably suited him to a T, and now we can't even say that our system doesn't suit him. We don't have a system. Everyone's sort of just picking up on the West Brom, especially the first half. It was very much just right. Let's make it up on the spot. Try and make anything happen. There was no thinking behind what we were doing. So as a young player, limited number of games, any direct style of football, which is basically what we were doing at times against West Brom, it's not going to suit him. That's why he didn't make it on the pitch. It would have made no sense.
He hasn't gone on the pitch for quite a few games now, I've noticed. So, and Sheehan was talking yesterday, saying there's going to be some action in and out of the club in January. I'm just wondering, is he one of the names on the agenda for a move away of some sorts, whether that's a loan or whatever? But I wouldn't like that to happen, because I would love him to excel here.
We haven't got the numbers to it, I think.
I don't think so either. But
anyway.
Not with Walsh's injury now. If that's if he's out for a couple of weeks or the rest of the season, whatever it is, I think we still need numbers.
All you need is Patterson injured or suspended, and Cooper's the only player you got in that area then, so you can't loan him out, really, can you?
I agree. I just know what they're like, and they'll probably say we can't bring anyone in if someone doesn't go, or something like that, and he's not playing. So, but we'll see. I mean, if Sam Parker's emergence, maybe they can afford it, but time will tell. Okay, so what else we got? So we'll obviously staying in Coventry, and we can also move to West Brom with this one. But Liam Cullen saving a day late against Coventry with a fantastic free kick. Actually, I know he spoke about afterwards how often he practices those, and it was good to see one of them go in. Personally, think he needs to shoot a little bit more from outside the box myself, because he definitely got the capabilities. He showed it earlier in the season as well with one of his goals on his left foot. But yeah, very good tactical free kick, really, finding the gap through the wall and putting it in, have to say. And I think I did say he should have got subbed off before that, but there we go. Or maybe I didn't. I just said I think he should have done better with an opportunity that he had, but he shut me up. But yeah, Liam Cullen then, he scored again on the weekend against West Brom. Does he deserve a chance to maybe lead the line, especially when you like starting with Yannick Bolasie, and don't know if you consider Jamal Lowe a striker, but what do we think of Liam Cullen and where he is at the moment?
I'd say firstly, yeah, but what I did want to touch on is that's definitely put more energy into the contract talks with him. He's out of contract in 6 months. He's 24, so he'd be eligible to negotiate with other clubs outside of the UK right now, I believe. So,
yeah, as of yesterday, isn't it?
He's not going to be on a big pay packet. I've always said with Liam Cullen, I said at the start of the season, he's never going to bag you 20 goals a season. But for what he is,
I think he's an asset to the squad.
Yeah, it's an asset to the squad. It'd be a weird decision to let him go on a free. So that needs to get done, in my opinion.
Yeah, because he's the sort of player that I guess you got to have at any club where he'll do a job for you, he'll work hard, and he'll keep running. You might never be the star man, but he's always an option, and he's always someone you can rely on to kind of be part of your plan, and do a decent job on the pitch.
Yeah, I think he's a great squad player to have. I think he does get a bit of flack sometimes when he's quiet. I think it's an easy one to criticise, isn't he? Just to be like, oh, he's not good enough for this level. But when you look at him at the end of the season, and he always gets, I don't know, say he gets 5, 6, 7 goals a season, when he's kind of a bit part player, I think that's important in a championship squad. I think that's really underrated. And last year, he went on a good run of form where he was scoring quite a lot, and he kind of made a good partnership with Perot for a while. They really played well together. And I think, like what Ben said earlier, was spot on. Like, it's hard to judge players at the moment because we haven't really got a system. So, like, I've been really critical of some players over the last couple of weeks, but
Yates.
Well, Yates before that as well, not just that, but he's one of them where you don't know where these players are going to fit in until we get a new manager and they fit in. Like with Russell Martin, for example, even when we were playing bad, it was easy to see what they were trying to do and where players fit into their roles. But now, like you said, we're just throwing players on. 1 minute is Cullen on the wing, then it's Bolasie, then Lowe is through the middle, and then someone else is wide, and Patterson. It's just nobody really knows what's going on at the moment. So once we get a clear sort of vision of what we're actually doing, I think Cullen is a great fit. I think we still would have let him go.
Yeah, I don't want to criticise Sheehan too much, but I do find it a bit odd sometimes with these decisions up top with the striker and the winger. Like you said, is it Cullen? Is it Lowe? Is it Bolasie? Is it Yates? Surely it's better to have a bit of consistency there. And I personally don't think Jamal Lowe can play up top on his own. And I know me and John were talking about this yesterday with the game against West Brom. And John was saying he thinks Lowe has got a bit more presence about him up top, but I just don't know if he does. I don't really think he does much when he's there. And Cullen is a goal poacher. He always has been good at poaching goals, and his goal against West Brom was definitely one of them, where they fell to him in a good place and he finished it well. I feel like, why would you just not give him a go up top and put Lowe on the wing where he's meant to be? Because he doesn't really stretch his legs enough for me anyway. So put him in a position where he can.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him have a go up top, to be honest. But I don't know. I think, like you said, physical wise, I don't know if he can lead the line on his own. But we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if it was true, but I remember when I said to you a couple of months back when we played a game midweek. I think it was the Watford game that we lost midweek, and I heard that Cullen had stormed into like the players' area after and said like, "Oh, like this is ridiculous. I'm not allowed to do what I want to do." Speaking about Duff, doesn't want to let him cut in on his left foot because he was always playing wide right. And then the next game against Blackburn away, he done exactly that. He cut in off the right and scored. So I think just give him a go. I don't see why not. He can score goals. So I think why not give him a go up there? I just thought that was interesting when Duff was in charge, so maybe it didn't quite work. And now, obviously, we're saying with Sheehan, it's kind of, everyone's playing everywhere at the moment, so maybe there is a part for him when someone comes in.
I think with Duff, everyone just stopped listening to him, didn't they?
Oh,
It was mass mutiny.
Yeah, I think so. And I think an element of it with Sheehan now as well is that I don't think anybody, including himself, expected to be in charge this long. So I think they're all just kind of rolling with it at the moment, and they like game by game. Because first of all, they said, it'll be in the next couple of weeks, and then it was you'll be in charge till Boxing Day, and then we're New Year's Day, and he's still in charge. So I think it's just rolling game by game at the moment, and then you can see that. And sometimes in his selection, it's probably just like, oh well, we didn't quite play that well last week. This could be my last game. Let's just try this. So there's that feeling about it. So like you said, it's like Balassi up front on his own was a weird one, but he might have just been like, well, players need a rest. He hasn't started. Just chuck him up and see what happens.
Yeah. Speaking of Balassi, do we keep him?
No.
Ben, I know you were discussing this with me before we started, so
I'd say no. Personally, I think he hasn't got enough minutes in the tank each week to give us what we need. I don't know what salary he's on, but if I think it's been a fruitful couple of months in that we've had somebody to cover the hole out wide. He'll go off to Africa Cup of Nations with a bit more fitness now. But we've got a window where we can go out and actually sign people properly now.
Is he going to that? Is he going?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, to be fair. I mean, he's got a better chance of going now. Have a look, see if he got selected or not.
I will have a look now. I don't know if he's retired from international, is he?
I thought that was the point of the transfer, was it not? So he could build some fitness, give himself a better chance of going being fit.
I'll find out anyway. But Lee,
otherwise, why only give him a 2-month contract or whatever?
I just thought it was safe until January, and then assess.
Yeah, I thought it was just to plug the, with the injuries that we had, like with Gianelli and stuff. I thought it was just to plug a gap. But I'm with you. I wouldn't. I don't know. With his age and his fitness, like you can't afford to carry players. Like you can only play like 20 minutes a week or whatever it is. I mean, to take away, and it's annoying because I think there's a player in there. Sometimes you can see he's got a bit of a, he has got a touch of class about him. But I think, like Ben said, if we can take this opportunity to now sign somebody permanently in that position, I would take that over, signing Balassi for another couple of months. I think because he's not going to be there. He definitely won't be here next season, will he? So I think, especially if there's a new manager coming in, I wouldn't bother just carrying him to the end of the season.
Yeah, I can't find anything easier.
Taking away the hype about his song, of course, because that was the only thing we had to shout about in Southampton. I think we sang it for about 20 minutes straight.
He always had 20 minutes on his home debut, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then he literally sang it all the second half, and then he came on and did it.
Yeah, okay, well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Depends. It's hard to answer this now. I feel like the question needs to be revisited on deadline day.
I mean, I'll clarify. You'll have him over nobody. Of course you will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the issue we've got is, say, we still don't have a manager in by the middle of the month. Targets 1, 2, 3, 4 could have, they could all be gone by then. If it's possible, we can get them. So it could be a case of, like you say, we're getting to the end of January and it's like, oh, we haven't got anyone. Let's bring Yannick back in. Otherwise, we got no wingers.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? Paul Watson getting a lot of stick, but you could argue one advantage of him and his role is the fact that they probably sign people regardless of managers yet. Or not.
Yeah.
I don't know if we will. Say, there's 3 clubs in the Championship. Everyone's in like one big cluster. We're not exactly big payers, so we're not going to outperform other clubs with our offering teams. So are you going to go to club A and B who have a manager and actually know what they're doing, or are you going to go to club C, which is us, who?
Yeah, if it's competition, I would imagine we lose out. But I just mean if we're not up against other competitors in the league. But there's a couple of links we'll talk about later
for a while, isn't it? Because I mean, I remember when we signed Dander in the summer before Potter was appointed, we didn't have a manager and we were signing players. So I think it's just that, which was a weird one. But I think
we signed Perot when Cooper was at the door, didn't we?
Yeah, Perot and Femi as well, when it came in before Martin came in.
No, I don't think Femi did. It was someone else though. I can't remember who it was.
I suppose you do have some players who just want to come to us because they see us as a stepping stone. And like with Perot, we were probably the only club who were offering him anything, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it was Kyle Joseph.
Yeah, he'd been off the back of a loan spell pro where he, didn't pull up any trees. I don't know. I'm not even sure if he scored a goal. So we could well have been the only club in for him to either accept this or you're sitting in the reserves for a year.
Yeah.
And now he's in Leeds. Yeah, okay, well, Yannick Bolasie, we'll see where it goes. It would be nice if he could score a goal before he leaves, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Well, he had his best chance at Coventry.
Yeah, he did indeed. So Sheehan is saying that the players that we saw yesterday against West Brom is a team showing they are playing for the badge. Now, I thought we were much improved in the second half. Actually saw some intent, some direction, like there was a plan all of a sudden. And West Brom, it's not an easy team, even though we were home. They're fifth at the moment, aren't they, in the league?
Yeah.
They've been on a good run of form. They've got some issues with their squad depth, I will say, which is, I didn't realise that afterwards. The reason some of the substitutions were so odd is because there were players on the bench that were injured and they literally haven't got any players. So that's why 2 centre-halves came on, just to freshen the squad up. But yeah, they're having a good season, They're in contention to go back to the Premier League. So 1-0 win at home to them, that's a good result for us and a good result for Sheehan. So the players are definitely working hard at the moment for him and the situation that we are in. So how is Sheehan doing? So he's got 7 games in charge at the moment, 11 points. Now here's an interesting one for you to discuss. We're currently sitting on 1.57 points per game under Sheehan. Sunderland in 6th position currently in the league are on a 1.54 points per game. So in theory, if Sheehan was here since the summer, by that maths, we would be in the playoffs.
It's a good start. My counter argument is we've had wins against Rotherham, Preston. You could even argue West Brom. I don't.
Preston were like 8th when we played them, though. So well, I mean,
I'm not disputing like league position. I'm saying there wasn't much of a game plan. I'd say we were fortunate to come away with victories in probably all 3 games. West Brom, we could have been behind at half time, and I doubt we'd be getting back into the game at that
maybe,
point.
Maybe, but we were unfortunate not to get anything against Middlesbrough.
I don't think 1.57 points a game stays as it is if he stays, I guess is what I'm saying.
I totally agree with you. I'm just trying to highlight, I think that he's probably done better than a lot of us expected him to, and I think he does deserve credit for what he's done. Ultimately, he's had smaller sample size than Duff had, and he's performing better. Or the squad's performing better. I don't think the performances have been anything to shout about, but he's getting results, he's getting points, and that's what we need when we're in the situation we found ourselves in. People were worried 7 games ago Swansea may be entering a relegation battle. I think right now I'm confident to say we are not in a relegation battle. If you look at the table, for me to back this up, we're currently sitting in 16th position, which seems quite low down, on 32 points, but we are 10 points clear of Sheffield Wednesday, who are in 22nd on 22 points, and we're actually only 8 points off Sunderland in the playoffs. So if we're in a relegation battle, we're more in a playoff hunt.
Yeah.
Currently, that's a fact. So I know people will say, well, we're never getting playoffs. That's ridiculous. Why are you even saying that? I'm not saying we will. I'm just saying if you're going to be concerned about relegation, there's technically more chance right now of us getting to the playoffs in regards to the point swing that's required there. There's obviously more clubs in the way, so it makes it a bit more difficult in that regard. But it's very tight, like there's the other thing that you were talking about the other day as well, Lee, with Cardiff. Cardiff fans saying how good season they are having, and it's one of their best seasons in all this time. They're in a playoff hunt and all this stuff, and how for us it's turmoil, it's carnage, it's awful. We're having a really bad year, but we're only 5 points off them. And they beat QPR yesterday. We beat West Brom by a 1-goal margin. So, what do you make of that? Is the situation as bad as it seems on paper? Yeah, no manager, bit of carnage going on, but I squad's think picking up.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think everything we said about Sheehan is right. He's definitely not, a long-term fix, but I think he's done well in that gap where he's just plugged the hole so well, and I think he's actually bought time for us to find the right manager. I think if he'd been absolutely horrendous and we'd lost the first 3 or 4 games where he was in charge, I think we would have had to have jumped the gun and brought someone in desperately. And I think what he's done is he's just kind of just let the players kind of not do what they want, but he's kind of just said, right, these are my best players. Let's get them on the pitch and see what they can do. He's not a tactical genius. He's not like, there's nothing, it probably sounds harsh, but there's nothing special going on there. But he's a really good character. He's really likable. I think the players like him. I think they kind of just, and you could see that yesterday. I think they all kind of got behind what they were doing and just all, got stuck in, especially in the second half. So I think he's done really well in terms of plugging that gap. And I think we're actually, like you said, we're actually not in a bad position. I think if we can get, and I'm just trying to be optimistic here, but if we can get a manager in, which I thought we would have had in by now, I was expecting us to have it in ready for the podcast. But if we get a good manager in, 1 or 2 signings in January, and players come back from injury, and we can get a bit of consistency, I don't see why we can't sort of. I don't think we'll get playoffs, but I don't see why we can't start looking up the table instead of behind. And I think credit for Sheehan for that. Just this really weird time for us, to be honest.
Yeah, well, look, we got Birmingham in our next league game, and a win in that match. I know they've just sacked Rooney, but they may or may not have a manager in by then, and maybe the damage has already been done because they a bit of a weird situation, really, considering the start of the season under their former manager. They deserve to go down, in my opinion, for that. It's echoes of Bob Bradley coming in when Guidolin was sacked, in my opinion, unfairly, just because the owners wanted their man.
Well, the funniest thing is Birmingham have done this before.
Yeah.
They've got new owners now, though, haven't they? They've got new owners.
It's funnier almost. The new owners have come in, similar to our owners, haven't learned from the mistakes that the previous higher-ups made. And remember, Zola came in for them when they were like 4th.
Yeah.
They were 4th or 6th just now. And then I think Rooney's record and Zola's record were not far off win percentage-wise. Like, they were the same. The only difference is now they've brought in somebody mid-season rather than right at the end. But they twice now in the space of 5-6 years, they've been in like promotion hunt. Sacked a manager for no reason, and then they're in a relegation battle. It's laughable.
They literally gone from playoffs to 20th now. They're lucky that the bottom 3 look a little bit adrift. Sheffield Wednesday are putting up a bit of a fight at the moment, but Rotherham, for me, I feel like Curtains and QPR look like they've fallen back off a cliff because they were resurging, but I think they're done now.
This is what I'm saying about us. I was a bit worried when we sacked Duff, and it looked like we were kind of looking over our shoulder. And I hope I don't eat my words on this, but it kind of shows to me that our squad is, although it's not great, I think it's better than at least
mid-table.
There, isn't it? Yeah, I think it looks bad for us because we're watching it week in, week out, and we think, oh my god, it's horrendous. But like you said, like teams like Rotherham and QPR, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield, I think they're in real trouble. It would take something horrendous for us to get sucked into a relegation fight now. I mean, it still could happen, but I think we've got enough there.
I think our squad's a lot closer to a top 6 squad than people realise as well.
It's a few key positions away, isn't it, really?
If you break it down like player by player, Rushworth for me is a top 6 player. Darling, Gabango, Wood, Humphreys, it's a strong set of defenders. Key mid-table player. Pedersen's strong enough as rotation. Timon in the right system can be, he's a solid championship player. I know we haven't always seen it, but there is a good player in there. Grimes is top 6 quality. Felton, keep in mind, Felton was playing in that squad that was going for automatic promotion.
Be careful what you say about him now, you might get cancelled.
He hasn't been playing well, but there is a good player.
No, I like him. I think he's had unfair stick this season. He's the scapegoat at the moment.
He's exactly the player that we were talking about earlier. Like that midfielder that can just do everything, and is so underrated, especially at this level.
Patterson's a mid-table player. Top 6 player on his day. He isn't always on his day, but when he's on his day, he's the best player on the pitch. Yates, struggling size of Blackpool and Rotherham, he's shown quality. He's still a top scorer this season. But I know he's getting stick.
Yeah,
I know it's because he's played more games, but in the right system again, good player.
He was working with 2 strikers with Perot next to him. He's just not been working on his own.
I really do think, honestly, chuck in a couple of wingers such as Morgan Whittaker, but we won't get into that again. And all of a sudden,
he's like 3rd top goal scorer in the league.
You can make a good system out of it, is what I'm saying. I think we've talked enough about Whittaker. I think everyone here in the summer said 1 million's too cheap. I think I said 10 goals, 10 assists. He's on 14 goals, 4 assists midway through. Says enough, doesn't it?
For us now. He'd be perfect.
Yeah, just to weigh into the Felton Patino argument, seeing as you mentioned him, I'm just going to say, seeing as we talked about the points per game prior and now to Duff sacking, Felton has been a mainstay for Sheehan and the points per game's gone up. So everyone's saying Patino over Felton. Felton and Grimes doesn't work together. Well, picked up more points.
The Patino one's a weird one. People thought it was fitness initially. Then people thought it could be because he's going to Juventus. That's not happening. Then you hear rumours, people saying it's because of what he's like in training. God knows at this point. Obviously, maybe it's a combination of all of it.
Sheehan did speak about it. He said he sees him because he addressed the fans kicking off that he didn't start against Coventry. And he said, Felton started against Southampton. I had all the intention to start Patino in this game, and that's what I was going to do. But Felton has done a good job for me, and I trust him, basically, is what he was saying. And he does things that I thought when he got taken off against Southampton, that we lost something in the middle covering at the back, and he decided therefore to play him again, and ultimately we got a draw up in Coventry. So I feel like it's justification for that. I don't even think Patino got on the pitch in that game. I also saw people saying that Patino was class against West Brom yesterday. I thought he was quite average. I'll be honest, I thought he was quite average. I didn't not say he was bad, but I don't think he was like what people were making him out to be, is what I'm saying.
I think he showed a lot of fight. He probably showed a different side to his game we haven't seen all season, to be fair. Off the ball was the best I've seen him.
Yeah. I would say a lot of the team is doing that, which is why we're grinding these results out.
My argument would be if you had Patino off the ball like he showed yesterday, he gives more on the ball than Felton does. So if he can be as good off the ball as he was yesterday consistently, for me, he starts ahead of Felton.
Do you think maybe part of that is the fact that he came on for Walsh, so played ahead of Grimes and Felton, so was allowed to do some of them things a bit more?
Yeah, he had more freedom, didn't he?
Yeah. Whereas if he's where Felton is, he needs to do that job, and that's perhaps what he lacks in.
Yeah. I think on the ball, he probably benefits having people ahead of him, but off the ball, it probably benefits having people behind him. It's like there's pros and cons to playing him and further forward and further back.
I just want to say, I think he's a fantastic player. I'm glad we got him. I would love to sign him permanently. I'm not coming at Patino here. It irritates me how much people go at Felton and then praise Patino, because I don't think what is being said is correct. And the stats back up the fact that it's not correct as well, actually. And earlier this season, they were backing up the fact. People were saying how much more progressive he is. They were very, very similar. You might look a bit more flair and fancy when you see Patino doing it, but in terms of what is actually done, and I know stats isn't everything, but you can monitor progressive plays and passing and movements and stuff like that, and they were on par. They were also on par, quite on par defensively as well, mind. And I think it's the off the ball, like you said, that is the main criticism. I think he's just learning, isn't he? He's here to learn. That's why he's here, and I really like the fact that he's here. And I thought he would have played more in the last couple of matches than he has, but I don't think Felton's been the scapegoat that he's been made out to be. That's all.
No, I think I see what you're saying, and I think second half, yes, especially second half, yes. So there were so many players that stood up in that category. Yeah. Patino being one of them, because when he came on, we've talked about him before, and it's not that we're saying he's a bad player, but the problem is like when people hound it and they're like, oh my god, like he should be starting every game, he should be starting every game. Then you start to go, well, hang on, this maybe is why he's not starting, and I haven't seen him do much. Like all season, I had major and then Duff stopped playing him at the end, and then Sheehan's come in and he's not playing him. So there's got to be something. There's got to be, like Ben said, it's probably one of or all of the three things that you said why he hasn't been playing. But then yesterday, second half, he was great. When he came on, he gave a ball away a couple of times, and I thought, oh my god, like I really don't understand the hype around him, especially for us this season. But then second half, I thought he was so good second half. And there's such a good player in there. It's a shame because it's a loan. I think he'd be one of them that if he had a second season, I think he'd be so good, because I think he's got that touch in him where he could start you saw the highlights of what he did with Yates at Blackpool. He's just feeding him through all the time, between the lines, lovely left foot. And we're just not seeing that, but hopefully he stays for the rest of the season. I don't know what the rumours are.
I think we had it once in one of the early games. One of Yates' goals was a Patino threading it through, but whether that's been taken out from the tactical side of don't do this, it's not how we're playing, because we haven't really seen it that much more thereafter.
But he was very good. I think it was noticeable when he came off the pitch. He was the dirtiest player. His shirt wasn't white anymore when he came off.
Yeah, that's
so fair. I will say fair play. I'm all the last couple of months I've been the first one to say I don't I don't understand why he gets so much hype. I think he's a good player, but he's
Yeah.
not performing for us at the moment. But yesterday, second half, he was great. If we saw that all season, amazing.
No, that's fair enough. No, I do agree with you. He definitely had a better second half than
But I
first.
think
know when he came on, he was a bit slower at the blocks.
Yeah, but he was good. But I think it went hand in hand with all the squad, really, because I was ready to say, like, how poor I think Cabango's been in the last couple of games. He's looked a bit suspect. But yesterday, he was like back to like the way he was when Cooper was here. He was just defending everything. His near post defending, everything that came in that box, he was getting rid of. He was everywhere. And that's like the Cabango I haven't seen for ages. He was great yesterday, second half.
Yeah, some of his decision making with some of his tackles is a bit suspect on Titan's mind.
Yeah. We're talking second half. The first half, he had another bit of a dodgy.
The yellow card that he picked up for that challenge in the first half was not too dissimilar for a red card given to Hull yesterday. Which, look, he got away with it. He did it the other day as well, didn't he? Yeah.
I haven't seen the replay of that, but I saw it in the stadium.
His studs were up a little bit, and I feel like another ref could have given that different on another day because it was late.
It's a Premier League red card, the Championship yellow card. I think it's the best way to find it.
There was one against, was he Stoke away as well? When he just completely took someone out, which should have been a red.
But good, I'm glad to see him get back up to his best.
And he rightly had some stick from. Well, I was giving him stick anyway, saying that he hasn't been as good this season, but yesterday was like second half was like the Cabango old. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
I kind of got it in my head, probably wrong. Sorry to jump in again. I got it in my head wrong. I was like, oh, the new manager must be here. He must have said something at half time. They must know. Because when they came out second half, they were a different team. And I was like, oh, it's going to be announced tomorrow. The new manager's here. They know something. They're all trying to...
I would love to know what happened, though, because how did he manage to get that out of him all of a sudden? It was good, to be fair.
I don't know. When he came out after... Sheehan came out afterwards now, and he said that the search for the new manager has to finish this week. So whether... they know a new manager.
He put his foot down maybe and said, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, you need to sort it out.
Yeah, maybe. Or, when he said at half time, look, it's the last time I'm going to be managing you. Like, let's go out and get a win. Like, maybe, I don't know. You don't know what was said. But I got it in my head that the new manager was involved. But
the rumours were rife that he was going to be announced at 2:00, wasn't it? And then nothing happened. So
thing is, they suspended the betting as well, didn't they? Before
it's back
the game.
Open now.
Yeah.
It is back open, is it?
And closed and opened.
Never mind then. So we're back to square one.
On that note, while we're on it, Eric Ramsey is favourite still 5-6 on Sky Bet. Luke Williams 7-4. Alan Sheehan's 5-1. So it looks like it's between Williams and Ramsey. But any preference? Any thoughts on that, Ben?
One thing I'd say first of all, he's 5-1, but that's permanent manager. They deem it as 10 games, and then you're the permanent manager by the bookies odds or whatever.
So he'll get paid out if you put a tenner on him now and he's in the 3 games.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So I think that they sort of know he's not going to be here much longer as head boss. Eric Ramsey, though, I mean, my only concern, I think I said this on Twitter to you, could be the right man, but too soon. He's 31. It'd be an interesting story. I mean, obviously being in the Wales setup, but also his first any sort of coaching role was Swans under-18s in 2013.
He'd be younger than some of the squad.
He was 21 when he was under-18s manager. So the age gap of that job was only 3 or 4 years, which was a bit mental. And now, like you say, he's 31. Norton and Allen are what, 36, 37? Something like that?
Norton's 34, I think. I don't know what Allen is.
You sure he's going to be 34?
Pretty sure. But I'll check. But yeah, your point is right. I mean, it must be a bit of a weird one. I guess, though, then you get those players on side straight away, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, he's been in the Wales setup, so he's had that sort of experience. He's in Man United's first team squad, even if it's not like a massive role.
Yeah.
The thing is philosophy that people chucking articles online. It all reads well. The truth is, it's an unknown. There's no proper senior experience there. It's better than nobody, but I'm a bit underwhelmed, if I'm honest with it. Just I feel like people are going, "Ooh, Kieran McKenna came for United. He must be good." It doesn't always work out like that, does it? Kieran McKenna is one of the best managers in the league now, but he probably had a bit more experience around a senior setup than Ramsey does.
Yeah,
I'll judge him when he's here, if he's here. But
35, by the way.
35, right. Between the two, I'd be looking Luke Williams personally because he's been here before. You can sort of just pick up where Russell Martin left off. Hopefully.
And he wants the job by all accounts. If his interview the other day was anything to go by.
Yeah, it looks like he definitely wants it, and it makes sense that he's been here before. It's weird that I'd like to know what's taking so long. Maybe they're undecided on the two of them, because it looks like it is going to be one of them two.
The only
Maybe
thing I
they're
would say about
undecided. I
Williams,
don't know.
they can't defend, can they?
We
Notts
can.
County.
Yeah, but we
Can
haven't
we
been able
defend
to
now?
defend. Yeah, we haven't been
No,
able
I
to
know.
defend.
So like maybe that's part of it. But that's probably our biggest issue.
Yeah, I will say, I think if we can get it right, then I am like quite excited, because I was looking at it earlier. And, we've said about like our season is like it feels like it's been awful. Like it feels like Duff was bad, and we looked like we were in a relegation fight, and now we've got a caretaker manager, and it all seems up in the air. So I was thinking like, oh well, how are we actually doing? And then I looked at last year. So after we played on, well, it was the 2nd of January last year, but our New Year's Day fixture we lost against Burnley at home, and that was 26 games, and we were on 35 points this time last year after 26 games.
One win.
So we're 3 points off last year's total. It's only 3 points. We've got a better goal difference this year than we did this time last year. And last year, this time, we were, 4 points off the playoffs. Now it's 8. And then we were 9 points off relegation. Now we're 10. So we're not actually, even though it feels awful, like we're
This would
not
have been in the
actually
middle
a
of that
bad
slump
position.
as well. The
We're
Russell
not, well,
Martin
no, now the
post-World Cup
slump
slump.
would come, wouldn't it? Now the slump
Yeah.
would come in January and after the window. So it's weird, because I just think we're really not in that bad of a position. If somebody can come in and hit the ground running and, get a bit of a new manager bounce if they can, and get 4 wins out of 5 or something like that, something ridiculous, then we'd be looking right at the table. But then we've got to get it right, and we like you said, it's such an unknown. Someone like Ramsey, you could bring him in, and on paper it just looks amazing. He's come from Man United, and everything you read is great, and then it could just it could not work out. But maybe that's why they're taking their time, because I think if they can get it right, then we'll be looking.
This is what I was saying to Ben beforehand, right? And it's 29 days now since Michael Duff was sacked on the 4th of December. So it's coming on a month, it's a long time. But there's two ways you could look at this. There's the frustration which everyone is feeling, and I understand it, and I think it's fair. That's taken so long, like as Ben said earlier, should have a man in ready if you're going to sack someone. Fair enough, completely. I think maybe Chris Davis was that man, and they obviously weren't expecting to not get him. Now, you could go back to the mistakes of the summer for that one. That's a fair comment, but you're going back past, at this point, we're in a situation now where we need a change. They obviously felt a certain level of confidence that Chris Davis would be the man. And look, the Sky and BBC were reporting it, so it must have been something last minute that went wrong. It must have been something.
I think it was. By all accounts, he was in the door, wasn't he?
Yeah. So that's what we heard. Well, we haven't got no clarification on any truth to it, but heard he was that one that was a Sunderland, I think. And in the evening, it came out he definitely wasn't having the job anymore. So whatever happened there, obviously maybe caught him off guard, and they had to start again. They probably had a list of people, but taking their time getting it right. Maybe you're right in saying Sheehan's doing well, so it gives them a bit more time. What I would say is, if they get the right man now, and it goes well, everyone's going to look back on this period and be like, oh, credit to them for taking their time, because they took the time, they didn't rush, they got the right man, and it's worked out, and obviously the other way around, you could say the same thing. But I think I would take a little bit more patience, trying to get someone who's going to play the right way, is what they said in the statement, is what they're going to look to try and do, rather than of us going to like Nathan Jones or someone like that, straight away to turn us around. I think I would. It's bad because we're still in the period, In 2 months' time, maybe it's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, I do think. Funny, Nathan Jones, you said. I think if there wouldn't be uproar, I think he would have been in by now. I think he would have been in on.
He's never playing passing football, though, is he?
No, and I think that's the reason why he wouldn't be anywhere near us, because I don't think anybody would take to him anyway. But I think you're right with the Chris Davis thing in the summer. But we kind of did that where, he's a coach, and as far as I know, he hasn't really managed, properly at a senior level. He was a coach he was assistant with Brendan Rodgers, wasn't he? And then they went for the experience. They thought, right, we'll go with Duff because he has managed. He's managed Barnsley and Cheltenham and whatever. And then that's they got that wrong. So I think whoever we appoint's always going to be at risk. I mean, it was funny. I was thinking when we appointed Martinez, he hadn't managed, and he was only 33 when he came in. And then, we appointed Cooper, who'd never
Yeah, well, Kenny
managed a
Jackett
senior
as
level.
well. It was his first one. We talked to
Yeah,
him
and
the
I was
other day.
looking back, and it's kind of, I don't know, I don't want to get overexcited, but Duff was kind of out of the model of what we've appointed previously. Martin was young, and he just played the right way, and they brought him in. Cooper hadn't really managed a senior level. I know he'd done well with like England, the youth setup, and he'd won the World Cup when he was the under 17s or 18s, whatever it was. So there's always like, but he's only done this, he's only done that, and same with Ramsey and Luke Williams. I'm sure there'd be risks to them, but we're gonna have to take a punt on someone because I'd rather do that than take like a Nathan Jones, like the run of the mill managers that just pop up everywhere. Potter was another one. Like no one else took a gamble on him. He was doing well in Sweden, but nobody else was willing to take the gamble on him. And then he was brilliant. And Brendan Rodgers as well was another one. He'd failed at Reading and Watford, and we took a punt on him. So
Well, let's
trying to be positive, but
again.
if it comes in and they're awful,
they can't all pay off, can they? We got a better record than against. So
yeah, exactly.
Fingers crossed. Next, we're going to pitch then. Let's move on quickly to this. Swansea against Morecambe. And I said earlier on, it's the first competitive fixture between the two clubs. I didn't realise, and that shocked me a little bit. So it kind of ruined my game a little bit because Lee's played this before. Ben hasn't, I don't believe. So the game is, what was the Swansea City lineup when they last played? And usually it's that team. I couldn't use that team, so I've gone a different direction. And it's going to be, what was the Swansea City lineup when they last played a League Two team in their first round of the FA Cup when they lost 3-2 to Oxford United on the 10th of January 2016.
My God.
Right, okay.
So you need to name, so work together here, and we'll start with goalkeeper, and I need you to name the lineup. I will not confirm if it's correct or not until after we've gone through the entire team. So I just want you to... no Googling, but 10th of January 2016.
Was Tremel still about then? Lee?
So goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to think. Like I remember that game because it was the one where Shelby got highlighted, didn't he? When he was just like hands on his knees.
All I will say before you give me names, is I'm going to do the bench as well. So bear in mind when I'm saying like goalkeeper, doing the bench as well. Yeah. So yeah, goalkeeper. Play along in the comments. See if you can play along in the comments, and if you're listening, just comment like how many you get correct, maybe, or which one you're shocked about.
Like, would Fabianski have been Ben? Just trying to think when Tremel retired as well.
Yeah, I get all this time mixed up. It all falls into one now. I'm trying to think who would have been in charge then, because I remember Monk. I'm just remembering because of that Shelby one. That's why it stands out. I remember Monk got a tune out of Shelby, so it must have been after Monk left. Would it have been Guidolin then? Would he been in
Could
charge?
have been. I know it was against Michael Appleton. I know some random one at Oxford. I remember that. I know Tiendali played. I know Gomes played because Gomes was offside about 5 times in the first half.
Standard.
So we're going to go for goalkeeper.
I'm trying to think who was in goals then. I think it would have been Fabianski, but would he have started in the cup game? Probably not. I'm trying to think who was second.
They probably would have had Fabianski on the bench ahead of a third choice, though, would they?
Yeah, they probably would have had him on the bench.
Fabianski,
put that in.
One of the two.
Fabianski on the bench.
One of the two, yeah.
Yeah, stick that in.
I'm thinking with Tremel. League Cup was 2013 when he went on that run. Was he there for another 3 years after that?
Yeah, I don't know, but I can't try to think who our second goalkeeper would have been there.
Because Vaughan was gone, wasn't he? Vaughan was.
Would it have been? Would Nordveld have been there then?
Oh, it would have been, wouldn't it? Yeah, you're right. I do think he played as well.
Should we'll stick him in goals then? I think it might have been him.
So locking in Nordveld.
I think Tremel was done by then.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a bit late for Tremel.
Right, so I remember the left back. Oh, what was his name? French boy.
Tabanu.
Tabanu, that's it.
Yeah, it's a great shout. I think that was
Frank Tabanu, left back.
That was
the
last
final
game
nail
for
in
us,
his
I
coffin.
think. He never played again.
Yeah.
Was it the only time he ever played? He only made one appearance.
Yeah, I think it was something like
Not
that.
that I'm confirming it was this game, but he only made one appearance.
This game, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. I like that. I think it's
okay. That's left back. What about right back?
I said Tiendali, I think right back.
Tiendali, is it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Are you saying a Martin Fernandez centre back? Jody Amat.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a bit late for Fernand. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Bartley would have been in the squad, I'm sure.
Bartley. Bartley's a good shout. I think Bartley's a cracking shout to start that game. He definitely would have been there then. I think maybe Bartley and Amat.
Yeah, Bartley and Matt. I'd say Fernandez would have been in the squad as well. So if you say bench as well.
Should we say Fernandez on the bench?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Okay.
I think we're flying here. I think we're really flying. Midfield.
What about midfield?
Shelby, but did he start?
Shelby's pretty sure he started. Britain wasn't getting minutes.
I'll tell you the formation to make it easier, right? So it's
All right.
4-2-3-1.
Okay.
Which standard for back then, really.
Yeah. Key, was he there? Maybe on the bench. I don't know if he would have started.
Yeah, he would have been in the squad probably, wouldn't he?
It would have been the time where we had Gomez. Yeah, you're right. Gomez and Ayew.
Right. Just saying for the bench quickly. I'm trying to remember if it was this game or not, but I know Alan Curtis got James and McBurney on the bench for an FA Cup game. I can't remember if it was this year or not.
It's a good shout.
2016. So it was the year before or 2 years before we went down and they were starters.
I think that's a good shout.
McBurney on the bench.
Because McBurney started sort of playing a bit more than he.
Yeah.
Toward the end of the Premier League season, he started getting game time.
So what's that? Dan James and Ollie McBurney.
On the bench, yeah.
I like that.
I don't think Britain was getting minutes at this point in time.
No.
He came back in under Clement at the end when we went down, but this was before that. I know just when he stayed up, but anyway. We're putting Key. I think we have to put Key, don't we?
I can't think of anyone else. Key.
Cork was gone.
So you're putting Key in midfield, yeah?
I think Cork was still there then, wasn't he?
Was he still there?
I'm sure Cork was still there.
2016.
I think that was when he started. I remember when Cork had a run when he scored some goals, didn't he? And
because he left when it was it Paul Clement's summer, so the year we went down. So yeah, that would have been the last year. So that was 2017, 18. So yeah, he was still there. Yeah, Cork probably would have been in and around there then, wouldn't he?
Cool.
So your two midfielders, because you've said a couple of names.
Cork.
Don't you think that's too strong for Oxford though? Who else would there have been? That's the thing.
Grimes.
Wasn't he out on loan at Leeds or something at this point?
Yeah, he might have been out on loan. Grimes might have been out on loan. Maybe it was Shelby then. I think Shelby definitely played.
I'd say if you want to say Shelby, Cork, Key on the bench, I can't think who else. I doubt Britain.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Shelby, Cork, and Key on a bench, yeah?
Yeah.
I would have said Shelby starting, Cork starting, Key on the bench.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
That's fine.
I'm pretty sure Modibara was right wing starting. So you can put that in there now.
Barrow.
Yeah, he was definitely there that season.
And it probably would have been Routledge left wing, Dyer on the bench as well. I'd imagine.
I think Montero was still there. I think Montero played in that game. I think he scored, didn't he, Montero?
Yeah, he did play in that game. You're right. He don't only start, does he? Is what I'm saying.
Modibara. Sorry, what did you say? Modibara right wing.
Yeah.
Or Barrow.
It would have been more likely be Montero on the bench and Routledge left wing, wouldn't it?
I'm sure Montero scored in that game.
Do you think he would have started though?
He might have in the cup. I don't know. Yeah, it was rare that he was starting, wasn't it? I don't know. He definitely scored in that game. I'm pretty sure he scored in that game. He scored one of the goals.
It could have been both of them. Routledge could have played central.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's not a bad.
Routledge central with Montero left wing.
Who else would have been? Was Emnes still there?
It was 2015-16 season. You said when they were
So,
did you say March? Sorry, 2016.
Yeah, it is January 2016. It's essentially like this match, but 2016.
So I think it was when it must have been just after Monk got sacked. Would it be? No.
So just to say as well, you've got central attacking midfield, left wing, and striker left, and you've got one defender and two attackers left on the bench. Just giving them clues.
Yeah, I mean, I would have said Routledge, Cam, Montero left wing, Gomes up front to complete the lineup, then Dyer on the bench, and what do you say, a defender as well?
Yeah, I think Gomes played.
Rangel, right back on the bench.
Not a bad shout. I'm trying to think who else would have been there. What about? I tell you, who might have been.
So
there
you
was,
locking in Routledge, Cam, both of you?
Yeah, we'll go Routledge, Cams.
I mean, the thing is, at this point, Siggy is still here.
Who
Sigurdsson,
was the who was the left back, the Scottish one that we traded to
Kingsley.
Hull? Was he there then? I think sure Tabanu played.
Yeah,
I
it could
remember
have been
Kingsley
Kingsley on the
played quite a
bench.
lot under Guidolin.
Yeah,
So I don't know if he might have been on the bench. I don't know. That's
could have been
the only one
Kingsley
I
on the
think.
bench. Could even have been. I don't know if Jay Fulton was out on loan at Wigan at this point. He could have been on the bench.
Yeah.
Sigurdsson was still there. See, he could
Yeah.
have been on the bench. I don't know if we would have
So-
started him at Oxford, but
What do you say striker is?
Gomes.
Gomes. Yeah.
And left wing?
Montero.
I guess say Montero then. Yeah.
Okay. So you've got three bench slots. So I'm giving you a clue saying it's one defender and two attackers that you need to choose.
Kingsley, Dyer, Sigurdsson.
Kingsley Dyer. Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Oh, sorry, I lied. You only had two slots, so one of the attackers. So do you want to pick Dyer or Sigurdsson?
I mean, if Sigurdsson was still there, he had to be in the squad, didn't he? Equally, you'd think Dyer had to be in the squad, but then they make weird choices. Like, if I'm right with the McBurney, Dan James thing, then there's some regular players who just didn't travel in there.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Dyer,
So who are you
then, is it?
picking?
Are we saying Siggy got left at home?
Yeah, let's go Sigurdsson.
Right, okay. We're going to do the goals in a minute, but I will release the team first. We'll also do the substitutions, but obviously you need to know the correct team first. So a couple of funny things to point out, I think you'll find when I to tell you. The starting goals. So you were right. You had the first three correct, actually. So we had Nordfeldt did starting goals. Say the first three, I've got it in this order. Jordi Amat and Kyle Bartley was the centre-back partnership, so well done. Now, Dwight Tiendali, you said was right wing back. I do not believe he was still at Swansea at this
Really?
time, but I'm going to check. Dwight T. I can't spell his name. There we
Like I
are,
said,
got
it just all rolls into one that time. Like,
So he left Swansea the summer before, or he went on loan to Middlesbrough anyway, and I think got released at some point. Funnily enough, he ended up joining Oxford the season later, but he didn't play in this game. And maybe you're going to kick yourself when I tell you who started the right back, because it was a debut for young Liam Shepherd.
yeah, okay.
Didn't know he ever played for us, if I'm completely honest.
I think it was his only match, and I thought he had a decent game, to be fair, but we never saw him again. You're right with Frank Tabin, who at left back, so well done there. Going into centre midfield, it was a partnership of Jack Cork and John Shelby. You were very close to leaving John Shelby off at one point when you were going to put Key, and I was going to cry because he literally argued with the fans afterwards and then left.
Yeah, that's right.
He got shipped
I
out.
remember that game was the Shelby game.
Yeah, and Gary Monk
Also in
was
the
still
car park,
manager
yeah.
for this.
Oh, he was he? Okay.
This was
Yeah.
his last game, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it?
I know because I think
coming
Monk
to the
and
end.
Shelby did fall out. Shelby had an argument with the fans basically saying you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, so like pipe down is basically what he was saying. And then he went, and then I think he spoke quite a bit about it afterwards. But that was Shelby's last game. People saying he wasn't running, basically putting the effort in because we obviously lost to League 2 opposition as a Premier League team. Going to the right wing, you were incorrect saying Mudubaru and Marvin Emenez started because it was a front.
Was it?
It was a front four of Emenez. Montero was on the other wing, so correct there. Bafétimbi Gomez was up front, so correct there, because Emenez and Gomez, with their hair, were like flicking it about everywhere. Montero did score. I've given that away already because you said earlier, but he did score. A very good team goal, actually. I think it did someone backheeled it or something. It was a really good team
That
goal.
one. Yeah.
So if you want to watch the highlights of this game, it's worth watching just for Montero's goal. But you got the central attacking midfielder wrong. It wasn't Wayne Rowledge. It was Matt Grimes.
Matt Grimes was there.
Right. Yeah, it's weird. I didn't think he was there then.
So he played in the cam role in this game. And going on to the bench, you're talking about retirement for a goalkeeper, but Trammell was on the bench,
Oh, he was there.
not Fabianski. Scottish left back, correct, Stephen Kingsley. This might surprise you. There was a centre back on the bench in the name of Joe Rodon.
Really?
Wow, bloody hell.
Centre midfielder on the bench, Jay Fulton.
Fulton, yeah.
Winger, Dan James. So well done on Dan James. And then the other two Moda Barrow was on the bench. He didn't start. It wasn't Nathan Dyer
Ah.
because Nathan Dyer was winning the league with Leicester.
Oh, was it
of
that? Yeah,
course.
oh, of course it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, bloody hell.
2015, 16.
I was thinking when you said it, I was like, oh, guys, he's not even here. He's he's enjoying his life somewhere else, getting a medal. And the striker on the bench wasn't Ollie McBurney, but it was Edda.
Ah,
Yeah.
God, yeah.
And what was
So-
that? About 5 months before he scored the winner in the Euros.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Wow.
6, 7, 8, 9,
God, you
10.
forget.
You're
Forget,
10
don't
out
you?
of,
Yes,
what was
God.
that, like 18? 10 out of 18?
I remember there were 2 youth players on the bench. I thought it was McBurney, not Roden.
Well, technically, you could say there was 4 or 5. Well, does Barrow count as youth? Kingsley,
They were like 2
Roden,
big ones.
Felton, James.
Yeah. Good effort.
Okay,
though,
goals. I gave you
Oh, yeah,
Jefferson
it's cracking
Montero.
effort, that was.
Jefferson Montero did score for Swansea. Do you know who scored the other Swansea goal?
Gomez, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Gomez, yeah.
Baftimbi Gomez is correct.
Yeah.
Do you remember who scored the goals for Oxford?
Didn't came our roof of a brace.
Yeah, I know Roof scored. He definitely
did.
But he scored against us.
You probably won't get the other one, to be fair.
No, not from
No,
I only
2016,
asked because I know Roof he got his move to Leeds, didn't he, after this? So.
Yeah. Yeah, no idea.
Liam Sercombe, who scored a penalty, kind of what changed the game on his head because we went ahead with the Jefferson Montero goal. Do you remember the substitutes? There was 2 substitutes.
Well,
Do you remember
I had
who they
Barrow
were?
in my head, so I'm assuming Barrow came on.
You did. Do you know who he came on for?
I mean, logic says Emnes, if not, probably Grimes, and then move. Yeah, I don't know.
He came on for Grimes. He did come on
Take
for
one of the
Grimes. Do you know the other substitute?
Surely Kingsley came on for Tabanu. He was
Oh,
on-
Tam.
that is correct.
Time, didn't he?
That is correct.
He was having a
Was
It
that,
bit-
wasn't
was that
quite-
only 2 subs?
It wasn't quite half time. It was like 60-something minutes, but
No, right.
Frank Tabanu, 60 minutes exactly of Swansea playing time.
Class.
Didn't
signing
quite
that
go
was.
to plan, did it? But I think his career kind of fell off a cliff after that as well. But yeah, well done. So he did all right, to be fair. It was quite harder than maybe you think. A couple
Yeah,
of youth
I thought it was a good
included that, I think, catch you off.
If you want to feel old,
Definitely should have won that
Frank
game.
Tammy's 34 years old now.
Yeah, he's not had a good career after us, be honest. Right, let's end the video off. I got a couple of names. I know you got a couple of names as well, Ben, here. So, news and rumours. Obviously, it's January. We're not going to go in detail today because there's not much going on. I think manager hunt's still priority. But there's been a few names linked with the club. I've got 2, basically. The first one I saw, which actually Fabrizio was tweeting about, which is quite reputable, yeah? Like, he's in the know normally. Romain Mundell, I think I've said that right. Age 20, a winger or attacking player. Used to be part of the Spurs Youth Academy. Rejected a contract with them in the summer to stay there and went to Standard Liège. And I think he hasn't played that much for them, only a handful of appearances. But apparently we're pushing quite heavy, according to Fabrizio, to get that one over the line. Makes sense for me because we do need a winger. We always like to look at youth, resale value and all the rest of it. And we're lacking in creativity and pace. So
On loan, or
didn't specify. From what he said, it was just we were pushing quite hard. There's other championship clubs, but Swansea are pushing quite hard. It was something along those lines. Is what he was reporting.
it's a weird one. He's only been there 6 months, isn't it?
Well, he hasn't played much. I think it was like 4 or 6 appearances or something.
Five games, yeah, 4
Yeah.
games in whatever the Challenger Pro League is. I'm assuming that's like a cup or something.
Maybe it is a loan then, but I mean, in the situation we're in now, I don't think we can really question a loan in January. It's probably
No.
decent. We haven't got a manager to look at a vision for a start, so you just want
Yeah.
players in to finish. See, like I know there's a big argument about loan versus permanent, but I think we're in a situation right now that highlights how important a loan can be.
I mean, it's a good pitch to any winger that we're trying to go after, though. And we play with 2 wingers, and currently we don't have any at the club, so you got a good chance
Yeah.
of game time regardless of who the
Yeah.
manager is.
Yeah, get that Kalulu back.
We're there.
He was misused.
It's got to be pro-
He
Yeah.
was the right player, wrong time. He was heavily misused.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I thought he had something about him that Kalulu did. I thought he looked all right.
The other one I had was Dion Charles, age 28, striker from Bolton. Banging him in recently, banged him in last season, and I think he got 17 goals last year. They got to the playoffs, and he's currently on 13 goals in 23 games this season. But where I'm a bit dubious of this one is the age 28, and then the value, they're apparently valuing him at 4 to 5 million. So
Yeah,
I'm not
there's no
sure.
resale value there. It would be silly. If
I'm
we
not
have
sure
5
whether we would
million-
even go there, regardless.
Yeah, if we have 5 million to play with, A, we wouldn't be putting it on one player, and B, we'd be putting it on players 26 and under, you'd imagine.
Like, I wouldn't be opposed to him coming in. We need goals, but it's a high fee. I think it's risk for that fee. Yeah. So they're the links we've had. But Ben, you've got some ideas of where you'd like us to look.
Yeah, I mean, without having proper in-depth look into it, this is only like half-hour look. One of them being Chris Willock, currently a QPR, plays out on the left but can play central as well, purely because he's only got 6 months on his deal.
And they look like they might be heading down.
Yeah, he was one of the hottest prospects in the Championship at one point about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. Probably had some Premier League teams looking at him. Had a bad injury, been very, very off the boil since then, basically. What I'd say is because he's been in a bad team pretty much since he's come back, he's never been in a good environment. QPR have been in a mess since they got rid of Michael Beale. So you probably get him for quite cheap, 25. We can't get him on a free until the summer because we're in the UK, but could well be a low, mid 6-figure fee potentially for him at this point. Another one to mention quickly, Elias Chair. He had Leeds links in the summer, QPR as well. The difference there being he's got a contract, I think, up until 2027 or 2026. That'll be a lot more expensive. Doesn't get tons of goals or assists, but he just runs games. You don't have Leeds coming after you unless, you're good. I think very similar to Patterson, I think, that sort of mould of a player. Right winger there, be hard to get in. Bakwami Poku at Peterborough, 22 years of age, 16 goal contributions this season. Not to be, stereotypical, but he is quick, agile. He knows how to beat his man. He's a left footer, which means coming in off the right, he's inverted, so he knows how to buy a yard of space with the ball. Quite often he fakes to come in left, and actually he does go right down the byline a lot and is able to cross the ball in. So he can go both ways. The only issue there, Peterborough pushing for promotion to the Championship, be a very difficult one to get in. From their point of view, they've got 18 months on his deal. There's not much difference selling him now than into the summer. Potentially, if they go up, they could even give him a new contract. So that could well be one for the summer rather than now. And then finally, these have all been wingers, by the way. Right winger, left winger, Elias Chairs at Cam. But left winger then, again, looking to France, Alexis Tabidi. Did a bit of research on him earlier. Currently at Troy, which is the same club we got Mikola Kukarevich from, which I know hasn't gone very well so far.
You haven't been given that many opportunities.
No,
really.
and he had the injury, didn't he? So you can't write this guy off because of the club. But 20 years of age, this one, considering this season feels like a bit of a write-off, so this definitely wouldn't be somebody to come in and be ready now. There's more one to look to become a good player in the coming years. Contract until 2027, which I know isn't ideal, but basically isn't getting many minutes. He had some minutes for France under 20, which is a ridiculously difficult squad to get into. So still 20 years of age now. When you think like Cullen, Connor Roberts, they were coming into the team for us, they were only breaking through properly like 22, 23. So development isn't linear. This boy, just from what I've seen of him, he's quite raw, but he knows how to beat a man. But this isn't like, he's just, like Dan James Byrne plays with pace. He's just quite a tall winger, actually. He's like 1.87 meters tall. Quite difficult to dispossess. Quite tricky on the ball. Probably get him, even if you did a loan with an option to buy, because it's January, that could be rather than putting in an offer now on a permanent, just to see, is that the sort of player that we want at the club? Point being, he's just sitting barely in minutes now. What I would say is Troy atop of Ligue 2 in France, so it's not as if, he's in second division of France, he can't even get minutes there. He is at a good club, so it's not exactly easy for him to get minutes now. So I thought that'd be a wild card one. I don't know what visa would look like there. I know the rules have changed so much, like Brexit, and I don't have a clue, is the truth of it.
No, I don't really know how that works now. I'm sure Football Manager would tell me if I did have a look, but
I thought I'd chuck a wild card one in there rather than just stick into Championship League 1.
No, that's fair. And do you know what? I wish we haven't often recently gone abroad, have we, that much? I know Kaharovich did, but it'd be nice if there was a couple of ones. Show it on, but we haven't seen him on a pitch yet. So
that's an odd one, isn't it?
It's literally Ogbeta Mark II at this point.
He's still here as well, Ogbeta.
It's just, I just
really. But it's like we've done it once. We got a left back once to not play. Let's get another one.
It's so weird. Like I don't understand. Like he's not even. I wonder if it'd be interesting to see who plays in that FA Cup game.
Yeah,
maybe one of them will actually play, or maybe it'll just be Pedersen.
I'd imagine Pedersen would be in the starting lineup. Wood would probably be in the starting lineup. Kukarevich, I'm hoping, gets 60 minutes because he's fit now, but he's not making squads.
Yeah, hopefully he bangs in a hat trick or something. Although if he does, probably send him on loan to Plymouth.
Parker obviously will start. Fisher may get a game.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. It would be interesting to see. I'm going to try and scout a Morecambe podcast, but I don't know if there is one. So I'll try and see if I can find one and find out some intel from them ahead of Saturday. But I think that's a good place to call it a day. Been a bit of a long one. We didn't have one last week, so that's fine. We can stretch it out a bit today.
Before you finish, I did think of one name, which is funny enough. He's a free agent. Remember that? Was it Tariq Fosu-Henry we were going to sign whenever?
Is he free now? Remember when we were going to sell Grimes and sign him?
Yeah, he's a free agent now.
Really? What's gone wrong there then?
Don't know. He went on loan, didn't he? He went on loan somewhere in the Championship.
All the armchair fans know best, though, don't they?
You know, he's a winger. We're desperate for wingers. I like.
Sell Grimes for $2 million and get him in.
Because he went to Rotherham. Now I'm looking.
Oh, it was Rotherham, was it?
I don't know how much he did. Yeah, Brentford just released him.
There we go.
28. You know, it's not like old, really, is it?
There must be an issue there, though. Like, why has no one snapped him up?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would say, like, I know when he was at Brentford, particularly, he was starting to play some decent stuff. But in terms of the hype train or whatever, 13 goal contributions in 89 games in the Championship.
But the people literally were happy to see Grimes go and get him in. They were arguing with us on Twitter about it.
There's always going to be that section of the fan base that doesn't rate
Just
Grimes.
absolutely ridiculous.
When he's not there, and
he had a quality assist for Patterson the other day.
Yeah.
What game was that? Preston.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Cullen, but he basically made Cullen's goal against West Brom as well. I know he didn't get the assist, but he lumped it back in and ended up creating the goal.
When Matt Grimes decides to get up and leave, we will notice immediately.
Yeah, that's when we get relegated.
Yeah.
You're here first. On that note,
on that bombshell.
On that bombshell, we will call it a day. So thanks everyone for being here as always. Once again, Happy New Year. Thanks for the continued support. Hopefully this year brings more excitement like the last year did, and see if we can get some more interviews in and just see where the podcast goes, I guess. But yeah, cheers for being with us, and we shall catch you in the next one.
See you soon.
Yeah, bye.